Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It's an occasion to celebrate. First of all, thank you for coming out tonight. It's been a very busy week at the Magnus. We've had events pretty much every day, multiple times a day. Many of you have been here multiple times this week, but this is a very sweet occasion. It's also a sweet occasion to welcome our new faculty director, George Breslauer, who is standing at the back of the hall. So a big hand to George. It's a delight to have him join this team. But I'm going to go straight into introducing tonight's program. The title is Songlines. And in line with what we try to do here at the Magnus, it's a program that's based on experimentation. The two artists, and I will say a few words about each of them in a second, are collaborating in this format very much for the first time. They met several years back at various festivals, but they were just presenting their own programs. As you know from the title of tonight's program, they represent two very different musical traditions and cultures within the world of Jewish music. And they are sort of trying to join forces and combine different streams of knowledge, of musicianship, of feelings in the program tonight. So we're all in for a treat and to discover with them how different musical worlds can intersect and what kind of collaboration can happen just on stage. Very briefly, but it's important to remember who the two musicians are. When I was thinking about them, I was sort of thinking about the words. If you remember that Ridley Scott movie, the Blade Runner, where the replicant talks about going and seeing things that you humans have not seen. And in the case of these musicians, we can think about they've heard things that we do not normally hear. Oftentimes, I hear in presenters who present Jewish music that they've done a lot of research. Well, this is exactly the case. We're dealing with two performers who, for decades, have been at the forefront of researching Jewish music and neighboring, intersecting musical traditions and languages. You will hear them sing in multiple languages and cross cultures throughout the evening. Really in depth, and they're really a link in the chain of transmission. They each have had many students. They've created a legacy for themselves and a legacy of what they've learned and transmitted to all of us. Esti and Onofre, they both are the same age. They were born, Esti and Onofre was born in Rome, Italy, but from Israeli parents and grew up in Israel. Esti Kenan has an interesting artistic triple life between being a dancer, choreographer, a singer, mostly of Judeo-Spanish song and of Arabic and Middle Eastern, North African music. And also another life being the singer of many compositions of new music. Many composers from around the world, most notably Luciano Berio and Betty Olivero and many others in Israel have composed for her voice, so she performs new music around the world. And Michael Alpert is a key figure in the revival of Yiddish song and klezmer music. He was born in Los Angeles. He's a local Californian who has traveled the world. We'll actually travel more of the world together this summer because we've been invited to present a project that was created here at the Magnus a couple years ago at the Jewish Cultural Festival in Krakow. He sings, I lost count on how many languages he can sing in, but you'll hear just a few of those tonight. He's performed with seminal klezmer and Yiddish music groups like Kapelie, and then later Brave Old World, and with pretty much everyone you can think of, and was the musical director of the Itzhak Perlman project on klezmer music. And the two of them, as I was saying, really represent two very different worlds within Jewish culture. And it will be fascinating, interesting, and exciting to see how those worlds intersect and how the points of contact in these song lines that we're exploring tonight can emerge. We'll hear a few words about the repertoires they're presenting, where the music that they're singing is from, and if we're lucky, we'll see some dancing too. Enjoy the evening. Thank you. Esti Kenan Onofre and Michael Alpert. I should also remind everybody that this program tonight is made possible by a collaboration both on campus with the Institute for Jewish Law and Israel Studies and with support from the Consulate General of Israel in San Francisco in the Pacific Northwest, and also, most importantly, with the Israel Institute, which has supported the residency of Esti Kananoff at UCLA this beginning of this year. And the microphone goes back here. Good luck.
Thank you, Francesco. Good evening, everyone. Guten Abend. Muy buenas tardes.
Majoi, 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 agua en el mortero, agita voz dama, que soy un forastero.
Der warmen Tag, meine lieben Menschen. Der warmen Tag hinter ein Neut. In Gott soll lach mit Eilemen geht Menschen. Der warmen Tag in a schenkt a Stickel Bräut.
Decime ansí que yo me cansé. Déjala tu mamá y vente conmigo.
Sie wusste schämste sich nie, dass sie gehen und gerissen. Sie wusste schämste sich nie, und strecken dann an. Nur das Einzige wollt ihr gewollte wissen. Für von diese dein geboren Lohn.
Man se va, non cuvraš merquia. Toma mi consejo, anda vos a Francia.
Noi mein geboren Lohn, die Sache sehr wahr. O in gezeugen, bin ich a sehr rach. Nur der keine Liebe, bin ich verloren geworden. O in jes gehe ich a beten Brot baia.
En el mortero.
Draußen geht Regen, am linken Regen, die stehen alle Chazenen schon aus. Und die hast mir jetzt gesucht, hat die West machen nehmen, dies keinmal nicht kein Verderos. Tariam, tararariam, tararam, airai, rairam, tariam, tararariam. Tararam, ai, tararam. Sie gedenkst die, wir sind im Beide gegangen, in Dreußen not geweiht, Havi. In Dreußen not geweiht, Havi. Und die hast mir jetzt gesucht, hat die was macht nehmen, dies hit noch mir, wie hat heute noch ein Kind. Tariam, tarararam, tararam, vaidairam, tariam, tarararam, 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 tariam, tarararam, tarararam, tarararam. Sie gedenkst die, mir sind beide gegangen. Du sagst, sie gesucht, doch kosten die Huben vor mir. Du sagst, sie gesucht, doch kosten die Huben vor mir. Und die hast mir sie gesucht, dass die was machen nehmen. y suma babel in dein Moment maschinir. Tariam, taradairam, taradairam, dam, tariam, taradairam, taradairam, tariam, taradariam, taradamama, tarari, tarababam, taradairam, taradairam, vararam. Sie gedenkst die mit den Beide gegangen in Dreußen not geweihe Taschnei. Hui die Ost mir hat sie gesucht, hat sie was macht nehmen, mit sich leben wie die Tabalach zwei. Tariam, tararariam, tararariam, tariam, tariam, tararariam, tarararaba, tarararari, tararariam, 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 dam, tariam, tararariam, tararariam, tararariam. La reina, la reina, la reina, la reina.
Two sisters. One is a queen and the other is a slave. Recognize each other through a lullaby. Could be a Yiddish lullaby, but this is Haketia from Tangier. La reina sherifa morra, la que morranna Almería, dice que tiene deseo de una cristiana cautiva. Los moros como la oyeran, de repente se partían. Unos iban para Francia y otros para la Almería. Ya matan al conde Flores y a la condesa traían. Toma, señora, la esclava que bien quería. La, 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 la. Ta, la, 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 la. Un día que menos piensan, las dos parido habían. La reina tenía un hija, la esclava niño tenía. Las malas de las parteras para ganar su platilla. Toma la niño a la reina, la esclava niña tenía. La, la, empañando a la niña, esta palabras decía con lágrimas en sus ojos. La canta así a la niña, y ay, mi niña de mi alma, y ay, mi niña de mi vista, que entendiera en mis tierras de Almería. cocina llegaría. ¿Qué seña tiene tu hermana? ¿Qué seña ella tenía? Y lunar tiene en el pecho, que de ahí la conocía y de ahí se conocieron las dos hermanas queridas. Otro día de mañana.
Thank you and good evening.
Well, this is a very, very moving meeting for me. From my background, I should have done maybe also singing Yiddish, but I didn't love any Yiddish singer before I met Michael Alpert. And so it's really a big discovery for me. It was already quite a number of years ago. So I would like you to sing something, since we meet here as a station in our life, or something about your life.
Yeah, that's what this evening is about, is that because both Esti and I have spent a lifetime so far connecting with the legacy of so many lives that have come before us, both our families and the traditions that we come out of, whether Yiddish, Ladino, Esti mentioned before Hakatia, which is the mixed Ladino, Arabic, French, Italian language of many coastal North African Jews, especially in Morocco, Algeria, and as well as Arabic and some Polish and Ukrainian here on my side, and some others. So this is a time, we really haven't seen each other, or we certainly haven't performed together in about 10 years. And so this is a coming together to kind of sum up or take stock, better yet, of what we've been doing with our lives in that time, the points that we've reached in our lives, and as Francesco mentioned, yes, we were both born in the same year. It was quite a while ago, but not as long ago as it could have been, and not as recently as it could have been either. It was just when it was. And it was in the mid-1950s. And so in that time, we have, as Esti very beautifully put it before, we have moved from being the seekers of tradition and the gatherers and preservers of tradition to being the tradition, if we may be so blunt as to, or what's the word, forward as to say so. And so that's a lot of what tonight's concert is about. So I will sing a song that I wrote in Yiddish, actually.
Just because I asked you to, right?
Not only, you didn't have to ask very hard, but this kind of stuff came up. Songs that we have written about taking what we've done with our lives and what we've gathered and putting it into our own newer work. mainly older people, born in either in Eastern Europe, born and raised in Eastern Europe, or in Turkey, in the Balkans, in North Africa, who came to both to North America and to ultimately to Israel as well as other parts of the world. We both have spent a lot of time in Europe. I was just there about 96 hours ago, actually, and so we have spent a long time assimilating that experience that's told about in the songs of that generation, and then and those songs, the singers that we learned a great deal of what we know from, were or are always singing about their experiences, and they are reshaping. There isn't this kind of static folklore that they're performing. They're constantly reshaping songs to express their own lives, and so are we. So this is a song that tells kind of lyrically a story from my life. It's called Ashpayin Yam, which means, if any of you know Yiddish, do people out there know some Yiddish?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured.
And
Usually I
some
should
people know
ask
Ladino?
that. See if I versteht English.
Yes,
but,
good, good.
whether you understand English. But yeah, so this song takes the idea, there's a Yiddish expression, Ashpayin Yam, literally a spit in the sea. Bear with me here, you all live in the Bay Area, you can deal with things like, saliva. And this turns out to be the custom of a dear friend of mine, an old friend of mine, to when they're by the sea. They're Canadian Jews. You can also kind of put that in there, factor that in there too. That for luck and blessing, when they're by the sea, they spit into it. It's a kind of not very harmful sort of pollution. And but the expression in Yiddish, Ashpayin Yam, really means figuratively a drop in the ocean, and also something done in vain. And this song tells the story of two birds, one a nightingale and one a swallow, who meet. The swallow hears the nightingale singing in the green forest and says, "Come to me, my nightingale. I have loved your singing for a long time and from afar. Come, and because your singing brings to me great solace." And so they both birds fly away together through the green glade, and the glade that's turning yellow actually at autumn time, and go out by the sea, and for luck and blessing, perform the aforementioned Canadian Jewish ritual that I spoke about, and would love to fly away together. And on the way, they see a doe, a beautiful young female deer, standing right by them, and so the nightingale tells the swallow, you're so very dear to me. You have chen, grace and charm, like a doe on the green meadow. And very much would I love to fly away with you and to set up a chuppah, a wedding canopy in the forest, and build a yellow house together with you. But no longer am I a young nightingale. You see, this is the song of a person over 40. And and I cannot leave my warm nest. And so that what remains is a dream or the memory of their time together. But my my lovely swallow, is always at my side. And overhead, the stars flicker like a chuppah, and the moon flashes with a cold light, like an icy flame. And so may you go with mazel and bracha, with blessing and luck, my swallow, and may our time together, our time by the sea and in the forest, be for luck and blessing. Ashpayin Yam. And also, right. This is important, believe me. It's sort of ethnographically important. This song was in an attempt to blend many elements, both musically and lyrically, poetically, of Yiddish and Ukrainian song. That's a whole other story. That's a part of my life, too. So the last, and I hope it does in both those ways, musically and lyrically, but the last couple of verses are in Ukrainian, in fact. Lest I be accused of being a fanatic Yiddishist. Herto bi chamo la lastečki a goldene, wo sie singt in a grünem Wald. Kim zu mir, man sie sehr salaveichiko, Herr nor an, wo sich geht ihr suchen bald. Hoi find der Watten, so berg der Erd ein Bänke nicht, hoi in dein Lied, was ich hab teike, wie jeder kennt. Dann schön singen, tit mir stark der Barmen. Aponem hab ich dich schon sehr lang gekannt. Zusammen sind mir geflogen der Achwälderlach. In schönem Herbst, in goldenem Saison. Bei dem Saliv in Reuten gelief, in Sim vergang. Vermaselbroche, Ashpai am Giton. Oi wei mein Lastitschki, die wisst mir, als a Teiere. Oi in dein Lied, ob ich teke, wie gederken. Dann gein dann Chochme, in dein Edelkeit gefällt mir. Ach, wie a Sarnitschki, auf dem grünen Feld. Mein Lastitschki wollte ich schon gern geflogen. In grünem Wald mit dir, ach, ich bin ruhig gestellt. Ich wollte mit dir geboit, a gehen Stibale. In dort mit dir wollte ich ois gelebt, man Welt. Nur ich bin allein nicht mehr, kein Jinger, Salaveitschiko. Was ich flieh mir ständig auf der Verrei. Verlassen kann ich nicht, mein warm Nächstalle. Chotsch ich wollt schon gern geflogen auf das Neig. Harim geflogen, wo bin ich übersteht Allah, in über Dörfer mit Feuer, mit Flamm. Tief in Herzen flieht mit mir, mein Teier Lastitschki. Hotsch verblieben ist mir nur der Spaniam. In Himmel schweben, wie a Chippe, ui die Sternalach. In die Liebe flacker wie a kalter Verlom. Sollst mit Mosel sein, mein Teier süße Lastitschki. Soll sie Maselberuche sein der Spaniam. в лісу співає золотая ластівка. Вона співає в зеленому хаю. Прилітай же ти до мене, соловеєчку, послухай же ти, що я тобі скажу. Прилітай же ти до мене, соловеєчку, послухай же ти, що я тобі скажу.
Wow, this is a big transition. This song that I wrote, I think about 18 years ago. I was much younger, and it was a love song to much older women, which fascinated me with the traditions they gave me, but also looking at them and how melody can lift them to dance and sing and be so young looking. And it's in first tense, so when I sing it now, it's almost my own biography. It's called Yanigun. It's in Hebrew. And I think I will have to play it this way. Okay. Yeah. Move it a bit, maybe. يانيقون شحاز يانيقون شحاز بهنف ذكناتي بموتني يانيقون لو يدع بأني أرجلي قام إمهن لو تعزوزنا قام هن لو تعزوزنا كي معك هن يانو بي معي عتصمو طيرا حشوت بركي فنتاش كيفن زروتي لو يفقدوا بينو ما لولاد سيداي سيداي عليك وعلي عليك وعلي عليك وعلي عليك وعلي ماني عود كان يانيقون
למעלה ולצידיי, צידיי, עליך ועליי, עליך ועליי, עליך ועליי, עליך, עליי, עליך, עליי, ואני עוד כאן. יא ניגון שאחז, יא ניגון שאחז והניף זקנתי, יא ניגון שאחז.
Continue with our lives. We'll continue with the lives.
Yeah, with our lives, other people's lives is reflected in ours. A song from the early Soviet period, the early Soviet Union, about 1920, 21. About Moshe Stolyer, who was as my friend Bronya Sakina said, who I learned this song from, and he was oder a politikant oder a trafikant. Either he was a politically wanted figure or he was a black marketeer. But these are only 3 verses of a very long ballad that come from really from Kiev in Ukraine, but they relate to the milieu of especially the Jewish underworld in Kiev and especially the city of Odessa. The melody is a very, very Ottoman melody, Ottoman Turkish, probably Greco-Ottoman, Greek-Ottoman melody that may have existed a long time before these words were put to it. And so we've kind of brought it back a little bit to its roots here. It's about Moshe Stolyer, the ballad of Moshe Stolyer. Oi wie Moshe Stolyer is ken kazati nun gikime ay ay vay nit zane gite bridela khoter dorten farbrach da sinini zetige kimen der viste kermose triararara Oy nerotin fine demetisha rois gebracht triarem bam bam sinise tige kimen der viste kermose Oy nerotim fine demetisha rois gebracht triarem bam bam Nader Musergel Fulvis talayim ay ay vay En Allah meksima ma benekine derahim Ra Sidan va benekinder Kanach da shoy nishlon Ya bam 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 Weil начальник бею воер да shoy gizay Sidan va benekinder Kanach da shoy nishlon Weil der начальник пою родошо ингизай Uz moishile stolier dos nor dereyer ay ay bay Arroz gilos ter angero iskivay ra 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 Dara treno uspei oyu siloi Oy die von dieser Elde wie ein Stein Der atrei poter uspiei Oy die von dieser Elde wie ein Stein Bahales. Odessa, the Black Sea coast. Many people think of it as Russia. It has a whole other history. Yes, and rather timely song, isn't it? Пожалуйста.
We have a little moment here for a memory of the Jews of Saloniki. It's a song that was written in the war itself, Siete Días. I don't know if a lot of the people know. Sometimes I feel that I have to tell that the community of Saloniki is the one that maybe in the highest percentage was, was not surviving the Holocaust. Very few of them, just 5%, I think, of the whole population of Jews of Saloniki are alive. A lot of them are very close friends of mine. And of my parents for many years. This song is describing first the train itself, because a lot of people were dying in the train itself, and later on in Auschwitz. But it has a very optimistic and a very powerful end, so it gives us a lot of courage too.
Siete días encerrados en vagones de Bemas. Una vez a los 3 días mosquitaban aire. Una vez a los 3 días mosquitaban aire. Padre mío, mi querido, ¿quién te lo iba a decir? De morirte con tu hermano al crematorio de Auschwitz, de morirte con tu hermano al crematorio de Auschwitz. Madre mía, mi querida, ya tuviste el zehut de morirte en tus tierras y no pasaste por el Oluk, de morirte en tus tierras y no pasaste por el Oluk. Padre y madre, hermanos y hermanitas, saliendo todo reyes a el patrón del mundo que envíe salud a mí, me quite de estos campos para vos echar Kaddish.
Sorry, if you'll pardon me, I need to check my email here. No, I actually would like to just, in light of what Esti mentioned before about the relationship, our relationship with the mainly older folks that we learned many of our songs from, or a lot of this repertoire that we're singing tonight. I wanted to write something. I've sing at least a couple of songs tonight from a woman who was very important to me as a friend, as a mentor, as a teacher. A woman named Bronya Sakina, who came from, originally grew up in the southern Ukraine, in a shtetl called Olvanisk, or Holovanivsk in Ukrainian, Galavanyevsk in Russian, and we could probably find some other names for it. And lived, by the way, I know there's probably at least one person here from Tashkent. Bronya lived in Tashkent in Uzbekistan for 40 years. But she said a wonderful thing about the songs. I learned many, many songs and dances and all kinds of Yiddish folklore. She was a real Yiddish folksmensch, as we say. And she one day she just came out with, to me, a statement that I love about her songs and about songs, because part of the idea that what Yiddish folk singers the traditional folk singers often say about themselves is they didn't just learn a song, and they didn't write a song, but this often would say in Yiddish, "Ich hab zusammengestellt a Lied." I put a song together. And so this shaping and reshaping of songs to express people's lives is very important, and as you see, it's kind of what we're involved in here. Anyway, Bronya said one time, I love the fact that she said it in Russian, not in Yiddish, but it's something like this. Every song has its subject and its words. And what words? They're life itself, all of life. How it is, was, and will be. That's what a song is, the past, present, and future, because in a song, everything exists. Everything that exists in life is in these songs. And my songs are the future. They're your future. Right now, they're the present, but soon they'll be the future. Your children will also sing these songs. And you'll tell them that once there was an Aunt Bronya, and she sang songs like these. That's right. And having just returned from teaching workshops in Germany, or around Cologne, and which led to performances with about 20 young people representing the entire German contemporary urban mix, which includes people of, in this case, Soviet Jewish descent, Turkish, Persian, Polish, Spanish descent, but all of them growing up in Germany and part of the contemporary German landscape. Some of you know that's what I do a lot. So these also are, I guess, some of my children and our children. Izazoi.
You want to sing with me something together?
Yes. Of course I want to sing something together with you, if I can.
Tres hermanicas eran, tres hermanicas son, las dos eran casadas, el amor, la chica en perdición.
Sie hat bio, depes mir schenken, tolo mich mir weiter gehen. Bis wann ich der Welt du leb mach kränken. Sie hat den kann nur nicht gesehen.
El padre por vergüenza a Rhodes la mandó. medio del camino el amor castillo le fraguo.
Ich hab schon lang bei Gottes gebeten. Also fremde Tieren soll ich doch sein. In Nase hab du's nur bei Gottes gebeten. Tot ich noch ein bisschen stehen leben mir.
El amor que lo supo a nada le has hecho. Sus brazos hizo remos el amor y su cuerpo galeón.
Oit ich noch a bissl leben mir stehen, in Lamach und die Herze setzen die Gold. Mein Dienst wird dir, ane du warst der Rugen. Sie wird dir sagen, das soll dir Gott von mir.
Nadando y navegando al castillo arrivo.
Ach, sie darf mir gar nicht suchen, weil ich weiß allein, als ich komme voran. Fine meine Augen, gießen Tachen Tränen. Als ich der Mond sag, was ich auch geht in die Nacht. Fine meine Augen, gießen Tachen Tränen. Wenn ich der Mond sah, wo sehr vergeht As was mentioned before, I grew up in California here, spent many years of my life traversing Europe and many other parts of the world. Live now in Scotland, if you can, a bizarre and interesting turn of events. But I grew up in Southern California, very attached to the Mexican traditions and Mexican-American traditions all around us here in California. So this is some kind of a pairing of love songs from the Yiddish and Mexican traditions. Die Feier, die Liebe, sie tief in meinem Herzen brennen. Wie kommt Reus in sehr lieben sich, als wir kennen sich nicht nehmen. Oi Shiliki is da hemome, in Shiliki da in totne, in Shilik bist du shenyu, oi merer fin ze ole. rois dan de kleider in bolze chish in kuren in mir so nie na klein steht alle und laufen geworden in mir will na klein steht alle und laufen geworden. In a kleine steht alle schischen fremde Menschen ui verge vet in si der hippifin in verge vet ins Menschen in a kleine steht alle schischen fremde Menschen ui verge vet in si der hippifin in vervet ins Menschen Maluchen wellen in si der Kippe fielen in der süßer Gott wird ins Menschen viniendo de Puerto Rico en un vapor navegando, en un vapor navegando, y me vino de Puerto Rico. En un vapor navegando, me vine de Puerto Rico, me vine de Puerto Rico, en un vapor navegando, y al llegar a Tampico, todos estaban tocando el son de Tepetzileco, que es un bonito guapango. Me acuerdo de aquellos días cuando el amor comenzó, cuando el amor comenzó, me acuerdo de aquellos días. Cuando el amor comenzó, me acuerdo de aquellos días, me acuerdo de aquellos días cuando el amor comenzó. Me hablabas y me dijiste y te contestaba yo, el amor que me tenías, ¿dónde está? Y ahora no. Dieser Gott wird ins Menschen, in der dieser Gott wird ins Menschen, in der dieser Gott wird ins Menschen, in der dieser Gott wird ins Menschen. Thank you.
So this is my chance to talk about my teacher, not of Ladino. A lot of women taught me Ladino singing, but I have one teacher for Arabic music that was like a second father for me for many years. He died not long ago. And he actually composed this song that I will sing to you now. The lyrics were written in the 10th century or even earlier by one of the kings in Spain, Muhammad ibn al-Mu'taz, and he is complaining to the barman, but the barman is, his name is Saqi. He is the one who pours the wine, but is really an image of a lover who makes us a bit lost. So,
Just to be clear, unless I missed something, what language is this song in?
Arabic.
Right. The big A.
A lot of people in Israel speak Arabic. It's not so miraculous. Didn't have to go far. على بلاد المحبوب وديني، على بلد المحبوب وديني، على بلد المحبوب وديني، زاد وجدي والبعد كويني. يا حبيبي ده أنا قلبي معك، يا حبيبي ده أنا قلبي معك، طول ليل سهران وياك، طول ليل سهران وياك. أيها ساقي إليك المشتاق، أيها ساقي إليك المشتاق، قد دعوناك وإن لم تسمعي، قد دعوناك وإن لم تسمعي. ونادي من همت في غراته، وبشرب الراح من راحته، ونادي من همت في غراته، وبشرب الراح من راحته، كلما استيقظ من سكرته، جذب الكأس إليه واتقى، وسقاني أربعا في أربع، وسقاني أربعا في أربع. أيها الساقي إليك المشتكى أيها الساقي إليك المشتكى قد دعوناك وإن لم تسمع قد دعوناك وإن لم تسمع The name of my teacher is Salim Innour. He's Jewish from Baghdad. He was famous in Baghdad when he was 16, and then he immigrated to Israel several years later. And his life is now woven into my life too. So, yeah.
No.
No. We have to continue living, okay?
Yeah. And we have to bring an end to this program somehow. Yeah. I think. But we need the high sign from out there, right? The
Yes? We have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
in Español.
Okay.
Yeah, do the finish with.
Okay.
Then we'll see. What are we doing with? Oh.
This song is a Ladino song from Turkey. The first words are describing. Yes.
You can clap louder. Right.
You know, a lot of
let's hear
people
it
know
from
the song
Ladino
Los
and
Bilbilicos.
Turkey.
Do you know this song? Okay, well, I will sing with you the melody that you know for a while, and then I will sing another melody, which is would not be sung if I didn't keep it. So it's important that I will sing it too, okay? But we'll sing the one you know first. You know it too, right? So do it whatever is uncomfortable with it.
You say.
No, give me a tonica.
This is soy.
Los bilbilicos cantan en mes de mar. Mi alma se oscurece, suspira mi dolor. Mi alma se oscurece, suspira mi dolor. Los bilbilicos chuchulean en los dales de la flor. Ay, debajo se asentan los que sufren de amor. Ay, debajo se asentan los que sufren de amor. De tanto mirar la mar, los hoyos me se chasquean, vapores ya van y vienen, letra para mí no hay. Vapores ya van y vienen, letra para mí no hay.
мостечек куги наши, зеленый мостечек куги наши, там роснет травечка, не щекаше, там роснет щекаше, там роснет травечка, не щекаше, там роснет травечка, не щекаше. We're in southern Poland, by the way, suddenly. Gdybym ja te łąki harendował, gdybym ja te łąki harendował, to bym ja mosteczek wyrychtował, to bym ja mosteczek wyrychtował, to bym ja mosteczek wyrychtował, to bym ja mosteczek wyrychtował. Sadził, czerwone i białe róże sadził i ciebie dziewczyno wyprowadził, i ciebie dziewczyno wyprowadził, ciebie dziewczyno wyprowadził, i ciebie dziewczyno wyprowadził.
Michael Alpert.
Thank you all for coming. Esti Kenan Ofri. From the land that has many names. And Michael Alpert from another land that has many names, or many lands that have many names. No. Will you say, right, will you sing something now? Right. Should we do something else? Okay, Meg Zine, okay. Thank you.
Okay, I have something that comes to the same rhythm, and you can do another thing after.
All right, that's good. Because I'm in that rhythm now.
Okay, this is actually a song that I wanted to bring in. We are short of time, so thank you for giving me a chance. It's one of those things that I really love to really see how songs changed for the use of people as part of their life, and it's something that we didn't make up, you know. We learned it from the people of the tradition itself. There is a song called Mi Querido Bevio Vino. And it has one version that I know from Bulgaria, and it's trying to be very Spanish and very frightening, because my lover was drunk and he got a knife and he came to me. And in this version he said, it's going to pass through your flesh. And then the blood of the beautiful girl is spilled on the stairs going down. But there is another version, and we get to this that has the same first stanza, but in the second one, they make up other words and they say, don't come to me with a knife or a revolver. With your love, I will die a natural death. So,
I'm not sure whether to say, alavai or pu, you know.
So the first one sounds like this, and the second one is very happy. Okay, so we'll get into the rhythm. Okay.
Mi querido bebió vino, el tino ya lo pedrió, debajo los de limonares, aman cuchillo ya me trabó, cuchillo de cacha preta, ainda está sin estrenar. Aparejate tu morena, aman por tus carnes va a pasar. Mi querido bebió vino, el tino ya lo pedrió, debajo los de limonares, aman cuchillo ya me trabó, cuchillo de cacha preta, no me espanté de volver, cuchillo de cacha preta, mi hermano lo lleva al ver. No me mate con cuchillo, ni menos con revólver. Mátame con tus amores, aman, que es la muerte natural.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming tonight. Esti Kenanofri.
Michael Alpert, thank you so much.
Thank you. I kind of combat by that honestly a little bit. I spent some formative years in Yugoslavia when I was a teenager, so it was southern Yugoslavia, so it works out. We'll talk about that at the next concert. Thanks a lot for coming. Right. Be well. Thank you to Francesco Spagnolo and the Magnus and everyone here who makes such amazing programs and also just does incredible cultural work for everything this institution represents here in the Bay Area and in California. Right. Seid mir gebencht. Be blessed.